So, arithmetic in scientific notation involves the addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division of numbers in scientific notation. So, I'm going to walk you through each of them. Subtraction and addition are a little bit more difficult than than multiplying and dividing numbers that are already in scientific notation. So, I'll save those for last. So, let's begin with multiplying. So in multiplication, if you had a number such as 2.2 times 10 to the third power times 2.4 times 10 to the second power. The beauty of multiplying is all you need to do is multiply the two numbers, 2.2 times 2.4, and when you do that, 2.2 times 2.4 is 5.28. Then with the exponents, all you have to do is add them. So it's just 3 plus 2, so the answer is 5. You can always go back and check your work. If you took those out of scientific notation and you were to multiply those values, you can always double check it that way if you would like to. Let's do another one that might be a bit more difficult perhaps. If we do 3.5 times 10 to the 4th times 4.6 times 10 to the 5th. In this question here, you can see that our answer is going to be greater than 10, which means that whatever answer we get out is not incorrect scientific notation. So 3.5 times 4.6 is 16.1 times 10, and then you have a 4 plus 5 to the 9th power. But we can't leave it like this because it's at 16.1. So we have to move the decimal to the left one position. And in doing so, we need to alter the exponent we have on our power of 10. And so since we moved it to the left, we have raised the exponent one more power. So it'd be 1.61 times 10 to the 10th power. And once again, we did that because we could not leave it as 16 since that is greater than 10. Our scientific notation would not have been correct. So we had to move the decimal back to the left one position to bring the number back between 1 and 10, and in doing so, we changed the power of 10 one time. And since we made the number larger, we had to compensate for the increase in exponent by adding a 10 on our power. Now, let's do division. Division is the same thing. I'm only going to do one of these problems. You divide the first two numbers, and then you subtract the exponents. So if you had a number like 9.8 times 10 to the, let's do negative values, maybe that'll make it a little more difficult. 9.8 times 10 to the negative second divided by, I'm going to use the old school division sign here, divided by 4.5 times 10 to the second power, let's say. So you would get 9.8 divided by 4.5 gives us 2.2 times 10. And now, please note, it is negative 2 minus 2. Well, negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. So it's 2.2 times 10 to the negative 4. That's all you would have to do. There's nothing more complicated that I could do. Just like we saw with multiplication, though, if this value that we got out of our calculator when dividing these two numbers was greater than 10 or less than 1, we would have had to compensate the exponent just like we did last time by moving the decimal back into between the numbers 1 and 10. Now, for perhaps the more trickier part, I wouldn't say it's trickier, it just involves a bit more steps than multiplication and division. So, what we're looking at here is if you had 4.5 times 10 to the third plus 2.1 times 10 to the second. And I asked you to add that in class. What I first would like you to do is do 4.5, set them up over each other, times 10 to the third, plus 2.1 times 10 to the second. I want you to set it up this way. And the reason why is because I find it that the exponents, it's easier to add these numbers if, well, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. When doing addition in scientific notation, you have to make the exponents equal to each other. Now, I find it easier personally to take this lower power and raise it to the larger power. So we need to take 2.1 times 10 to the negative second and write it as if it were 2.1 times 10 to the third. Or times 10 to the third, it won't be 2.1. So what that looks like is we need to move the decimal to the left one position and rewrite our number. So our new problem becomes 4.5 times 10 to the third plus 0.21 times 10 to the third. Now you see how easy that is to add. You get 4.71 times 10 to the third. And that would be your final answer. And once again, if you're confused, you can always check your work in your calculator by taking the values out of scientific notation and adding them. Next, let's do one that involves subtraction. Let's do 3.9 times 10 to the first minus 2.1 times 10 to the, let's do the third. Let's raise it up 2 powers here. So, set them up over each other just to help you organize your thoughts. So it's 3.9 times 10 to the first minus 2.1 times 10 to the third. So, you see the dilemma here, that we have a 1 exponent and a 3. We have to raise the smaller one up. I find that easier to do. You can do it either way and drop the 3 down to the 1. It just involves an extra step. So if we raise 1 up to 3, we would have to move the decimal to the left 2 times in order to get there. So our new value would become 0.039. And so let's rewrite this. It would be, I'm going to put 2.1 up top. No, I'm not. That'll confuse you guys. It would be 0.039 times 10 to the third minus 2.1 times 10 to the third. So, now that we have made our exponents match, all we need to do is subtract our values. And so, you would get you get 9, 3, not 3, that would be 6. It would be a 6 here, not a 9. So we get 6, 1.069. I think I did that right. No, definitely did not. It is 1.969 times 10 to the third. Would be our final answer. Negative 1.69 times 10 to the third. Perfect. So, once again, always be sure to check your work in the calculator, especially when you encounter a problem like that would involve you having to change the sign on the values. So anyways, hopefully this video has helped you with the basic arithmetic involving scientific notation in preparation for your quiz coming up soon.